Morning you guys, it's Karen, and I thought I would come and do a Q&A. And what prompted this is you guys were so complimentary about the first video I did on the arbour bench in the back garden. I did that get ready with me and was just kind of chatting, and a lot of you were saying that, you know, it was nice to get to know me a bit more. And I realised that I do a lot of vlogs on my Patreon channel, which are more like personal vlogs and what's going on in my life, but it might mean that I completely don't mention anything at all on the beauty channel, and that's never what I intended. You know, I'm happy to share things, you know. So I thought a Q&A was a good way of doing it, and so I posted on Instagram and Facebook to see if you had any questions, and I'm also going to answer two that are kind of the most asked questions, if you like. So the first most asked question, would you believe, is do I have a thyroid issue? A lot of people tell me that, in fact, I say question, a lot of people just leave me a comment saying that you have a thyroid issue because of my neck, but my neck is simply fat. That's all it is. I have put on weight over the last few years. Since my wedding, I've put on weight. And that's all it is. So I do not have a thyroid issue. I've had my thyroid checked several times. You know, I get a lot of blood tests because of these migraines and whatnot, and it's definitely not thyroid. The second question is about my hair. I often get asked, what is your hair colour, please? Can you tell me the code and the brand, etc., etc.? But this is my natural hair colour. This as it is now. I've used a colour remover to remove any sort of red colour that I used to put in it. But this is the colour of my own hair, and I'm sort of leaving it alone and intending to have highlights at some point because I can see greys coming through. Okay, so I'll go straight into the questions. The first one says, sorry, I'm going to need my glasses. House smooth update. How about getting Kevin for the how did you meet kind of questions? Previous boyfriends, if you're able, can you go into more detail about your family dynamics? And she's saying she feels nosy, but I don't mind that at all. I really, like I said, don't mind being asked any questions at all, and I can just not answer if I can't. There is no real update on a house move because it's something that is a kind of dream that we could have our own front door, our own house. We are in an apartment. It's a very big apartment and we've got a front and back garden, but we would like to have our own front door, but it would cost twice the amount of our current apartment, and so it is a dream that I hope will come true one day. So we're still looking at houses, and you know, we'd continue to do bits and pieces in this house so that if something did come up we could sell it and move, but yeah, it's not imminent. Kev will never be on a video on here. He did one, I don't even think it is public anymore, but he did, and my boyfriend does your makeup. Was it boyfriend or was it husband? My husband does my makeup probably. And then the only other video he has done is he's done a couple questions tag with me on Patreon, and he was happy to do it on Patreon because it wasn't like public, you know, his workmates were not going to just come across it by accident and whatnot, because some of his staff actually watch my channel. We met on a dating site, by the way. 19 years ago we met on a dating site. Previous boyfriends, again, I've done a video on Patreon, several videos going through different boyfriends and my experiences with them. And then the final bit of that was go into more detail about the family dynamics. It's fairly simple in Scotland, in that there's Kev and his parents, and we see his parents 3 or 4 times a year. We go out to dinner, or we go over to theirs, or they come over to ours, so just his mum and dad. And then for me, I now don't have any family in Scotland at all. I had my dad obviously, and he died, and then beyond that it's really quite complicated, but it's probably easier to tell you the people I stay in touch with. So I stay in touch with my stepsister. She lives in Peterborough, and we email back and forward. I stay in touch with both my mums, so I've got, I guess you'd call her a stepmum and a birth mum. I call them my English mum and my Welsh mum, but I stay in touch with both of those. I speak to them on the phone every few months. I haven't seen my stepmum since my wedding. She came to my wedding 9 years ago, and I see my birth mother, or I used to see my birth mother in York for the day. We used to meet once a year, but I haven't seen her for 2 years with the whole COVID thing, and I'm not sure what we're going to do about that because she is obviously getting older, and you know, traveling is not quite so easy, and with me having the migraines have got worse over the last couple of years, it's harder for me to travel as well. I can't like sit in one position or travel in a car for very long, so it's kind of tricky. I'm not sure what we're going to do about that. I'm maybe going to look at flights or something, I don't know. I'll figure it out. She lives in Cambridge, so my birth mum lives in Cambridge, my stepmum lives in Hitchin, and my sister lives in Peterborough, and I also have a brother who I speak to occasionally, but he lives in Milton Keynes. He's my full brother. He's my only kind of full sibling, if you like. And then in Birmingham, I have a half sister and a half brother. Neither of them are related. They're from different sides of my family that I don't really speak to. There's no falling out or anything. It's just the way life has happened, you know. So yeah, it's a bit of an unusual one, because there are certainly no big family events up here, and there was an event recently for my stepsister that I didn't mention. My other stepsister lives in Nottingham, and she had a birthday, and there was a big birthday party, and all of those people that I mentioned, except for my birth mother obviously, but they were all there. So my stepmum, who is her mum, my brother was there, my full brother, my stepsister was there, and it would have been lovely to go. They had a big barbecue in a field, and that would have been really nice to go to, but I can't really travel, like I said, with these migraines at the moment. So that's the family dynamics as much as I can explain them. My dad was married quite a few times. He was married 5 times, I think. The next one is a real thinker. What is the biggest lesson you've learned and would pass on with regards to starting out on YouTube? I think starting out on YouTube now would be very different from when I started out, which was, I think, 8 years ago. Yeah, 8 years ago, because it wasn't quite as saturated then. So you'd probably need to do more to make an impact. And also it depends on what your goal is, you know, so the advice I would give would depend on whether somebody was just wanting to do it for something to enjoy, or whether they were hoping to make money from it. I mean, I'm not making a living from this, you know. I earn 400 or 500, 400 normally. Actually, thinking about it, the last few months has been 300 from Google AdSense per month on my videos, on ad revenue. And so, you know, that doesn't pay the bills. It pays Watson's daycare, and that's it. And then from affiliates, I get, I think if you average it out, it's about between £60 to £100 a month. So it's not a big earner for me. So I don't think that I would be qualified to say anything about how to be, you know, a success financially. But I would say that the most important thing is to be yourself. I know that it's a kind of corny thing to say, and a lot of people say it, but I would say be yourself. Don't try to be something that you're not, because I think videos are better when you're not trying to change yourself. And I say that because even when I do videos that are just impromptu, like that Get Ready With Me that I did on the Arbor, I was like, well, this isn't a look that I would normally have worn to YouTube. I didn't have my lashes on. I don't have lashes on today. I wasn't intending to do a video today either, but I'm having to kind of go with it because I don't have a migraine right now. And it was the same on that day. I was feeling up to doing a video, you know, and when I do those and I'm just more casual, they actually seem to be more, people really enjoy them, and I get really, really good feedback, versus the ones where I do all my makeup, do all my hair, have all my notes, put my lashes on, you know. I'm not to say that I know you guys do like those videos, because that's most of the videos, but you know, being natural and being yourself, I think there's a lot to be said for that. There's another question here. I'm assuming this is a question for the video, and it's about, do you still take antihistamines, and are they good for anything else besides hay fever? I do take antihistamines, and they are actually can be useful for migraines. There is a histamine connection with migraines that I've kind of known about for a while, but I've taken 2 lots of antihistamines daily for many years, like 20 years, because I have allergies, you know, and so they haven't worked for me for migraines, but I believe that they can help that. I think there might be some bladder uses. Perhaps I'll do a video over on the Life as a Zebra channel on antihistamines, but yes, I do still take them. Andrew says, what are you looking forward to / worried about in your 50s? Your latest thoughts on your eyelids, and whether you would consider any other cosmetic treatments. That's a really interesting one. Okay, let me start with my eyelids, because that's probably the easiest. I'm okay about my eyelids, but I still don't think the surgery was a success, the eyelid surgery that I had. I don't think that he took it from the right place. whatever it was, I perhaps don't know even what it was, but I just don't think it was a success. I was going to consider having surgery again. I actually had it on my list to do after lockdown, to go and have a consultation and whatnot, but firstly we carpeted the house instead, because that's more important. So, you know, I don't have a spare, I think it's 2,000 something to just spend on cosmetic surgery. But I had also kind of thought I'd prefer to just leave it for now. It is something I would definitely consider having it done in the future, but I would go to somebody that had a better reputation. Not that my surgeon didn't have a good reputation, he did, but more for facial plastics and yada yada yada. He wasn't experienced in specifically blepharoplasty that was cosmetic. He did reconstructions after cancer. So yes, I would definitely consider it. I would consider even having the thread lift that I have done a video on, just to see, you know, because I think a lot of people have enjoyed having that done. And I do like the effect of, you know, when I used to have the Botox and it lifted my eyebrows up like that, I did like that because it does sort of stretch out the skin. But I'm not in any rush. I don't feel depressed about it or anything like that at the moment. My focus is really on these blooming migraines, you know, so I would definitely consider other options, but just I'm not planning on anything right now. The other part was, what are you looking forward to or worrying about in your 50s? And because I turned 50 next year, it might sound a bit depressing, but my initial thought to that was, I'm not looking forward to being in my 50s because it's closer to being in my 60s and 70s, etc. And I am not enjoying the aging process. I don't know how much of it is the Ehlers-Danlos. I don't know how much of it, because Ehlers-Danlos is progressive, I don't know how much of it is just aging. But, you know, my husband and I are always saying it, like, I feel like every year a couple of things change, you know, even if it's, I can no longer eat this because it gives me indigestion, or I was going to say my skin's drier. That doesn't really bother me, but it is drier. But my eyes just look a little bit more wrinkly. There's a few more crow's feet. I haven't found any benefits to my 40s or 50s. Oh, my early 40s were okay. I haven't found any benefits yet to aging. But then my mum actually said to me that her 50s were her best years. And she thinks if I can get on top of these migraines that I'll really enjoy my 50s. And I suppose personality-wise, I like my 50s. Like I've got to a place finally where I can, you know, ignore, hate, not get involved in things that are not worth my time, that kind of thing. Your time becomes a bit more precious. So if I get on top of the migraines, then maybe I will feel differently, you know, because I'll be able to focus more on just life. I don't know if any of that even makes sense. So worries are just that I don't get over these migraines, which is nothing really to do with age. And what I'm looking forward to is that I get over these migraines, which again is nothing to do with age, but that's just kind of the whole focus of my life at the moment, unfortunately. Somebody is asking, what's your favourite makeup like right now? I like to see what people are actually using and not just the hyped ones. I think I'd need to do a whole video on that, wouldn't I? Because there's makeup is, you know, there's many different products. So I do talk about makeup in my favourite videos, but perhaps I need to do a full, this is my favourite makeup. There's so much makeup. There's so many different things that I absolutely love. You know, there's not anything particular. Maybe I'll do a new favourites, or, you know, current makeup favourites, something like that. So I'll put that on the list to do a video on. Somebody has asked, so sorry you have to put up with so much pain. Thank you. Do you do mindfulness or meditation? In spite of the ongoing pain, what is your best pick-me-up? I read books on mindfulness, and that's always the goal. I'm not very good at that. Meditation, I have tried the kind of meditation where you empty your mind. That's just not for me. I have tried it many times over the years. It's not for me, but I do guided medication. There's guided migraine medications that I do. In spite of the ongoing pain, what is your best pick-me-up? There's really not much that I can enjoy when I'm feeling dizzy and my head is hurting, but I can normally do my makeup in the morning, and that's something that I enjoy. You know, that's kind of still what gets me out of bed, is I know that I'm going to get up and play around with makeup. You know, I don't wear makeup every single day, but it is something that I do a lot of the time, you know. And it's like, right, like even today I was like, I'm going to try this colour out of the palette, a palette that I've got. I really enjoy a long bath. I can normally manage a bath on the days that I've got a migraine. Not always, sometimes it's it's difficult to run it and wait for it, and it's difficult to get in, but once I'm in, I really enjoy it. And if my head's not too bad, I can watch something like TikTok, and I have just the volume really low, and it's just something really light-hearted, you know, something that can make you giggle and kind of takes my mind off things. So I enjoy that, a bath with my TikTok, but I've not had a bath for weeks now because it's been too humid, you know. And the other thing that I enjoy, which is probably why I am like I am, is food. You know, especially on days where I've battled a migraine all day, and it hasn't got better, because I can have days where it's like I'll wake up, I'm dizzy, I'll put my machine on, it goes away a little bit, then I get head pain, so I take some tablets and they work for a little bit, and then the head pain comes back worse, and then I'll eat something, because you have to eat, you can't be hungry when you're having a migraine. If I've had a day like that and I feel like I've had no respite, actually just snacking on rubbish is something that I enjoy. I've always loved food. I love good food, I love junk food, I just love food. So food, baths and putting on my makeup are things that I can still enjoy. I sometimes sit and watch the TV on really low, but I can't really focus on it, you know. So this is the most frustrating thing about this migraine thing. With everything else that I've kind of had over the years, like even when I had my knee operation and I was in, you know, big cast thing from the top of my thigh to my foot, I was still able to do things. I was studying at the time. I was studying my BSc in health science, so I was able to study, and my mind was okay, you know, my head was clear. I was able to watch things and read things and listen to things without any problem. But the problem is just when I've got that dizziness and head pain, there's nothing I can do. I can't listen to anything, I can't look at a screen, you know, everything is difficult. That's the pain in the bum about it. Are family and friends supportive re your headaches and other ailments? I don't tell mine half of how I feel, re the headaches, back and neck pain, as I don't want to be moaning all the time. By the way, your skin looks amazing. Oh, thank you. I know what you mean. I'm the same. I don't want to tell everybody all the time, and sometimes I'll tell Kev and he'll say, oh, I thought you were okay today because you were, you know, pottering around. And I'm like, no, I'm really, it's just one of those days where I'm struggling to try and do things. Like sometimes I'll sit at the computer and try and just work through it because I'm just so annoyed at getting nothing done and just don't want to be sitting doing nothing, you know. But it's so hard to focus, and I don't know, I don't like moaning about it either, to be honest, because I'm sick of hearing myself talk about it. But the question is, are your family and friends supportive? Well, my family down south don't know that much about it. My sister knows more. I've told her more recently. It's actually only been the last year that I've sort of mentioned to them how it's affected my life. And I think that's because it's difficult to even have a chat. You know, if I chatted to them on the phone, like I don't speak to my sister on the phone that much, and I don't do many phone calls because it hurts my head. You know, I can't just stop and have a phone call. I try and do most things by email so that I can do it in those moments where I'm not feeling too bad. But they're all very supportive, but it doesn't really affect them, other than, again, there was going to be a family holiday, but I just can't get to it because to get everybody to somewhere that's convenient is going to be down south, and it would be too far of a travel for me with my migraines. So my family and friends, my husband is amazingly supportive, and my closest friend in Scotland where I live is amazingly supportive. Thankfully, I have never needed to cancel on her because I've got drugs that I can take twice a week, so I sort of am strategic with them, and I save them, if you like, for days where I'm going to be needing to be clear-headed, which is normally appointments, or if I'm got to do something specific with Watson, like take him to the vet, or, you know, things like that, or meeting my friend for lunch. But she's always like, you know, she always says to me, if you need to cancel, don't worry, you know, just let me know. So she's very supportive. My husband is amazingly supportive, and he helps as much as he can. The hardest thing, I think, is when Watson, my dog, is needing to go for a walk or is needing some kind of entertainment, and it's during the work day, because Kev works a long work day. Sometimes he's in the office, sometimes he's at home. But even if he's at home, he's normally on conference calls. And so he does help when he can, you know, if he happens to not have any phone calls or conferences and he will take Watson for a walk if I'm really bad, but I have to be really, really bad. And, you know, and sometimes he'll know that I'm in pain and I go to do the 5 o'clock walk I normally do the 5 o'clock walk because Kev is still working, whether he's here or in the office. And sometimes he'll say to me, like, I'll take him, just give me, 10 minutes. And I'm like, no. And he's like, but you look awful, you feel awful. I'm like, I know, but I have to do this daily. Like, I have to take him for a walk. It just needs to be done. And I just have to hook him on his front lead so that he doesn't pull me too much, because the dizziness makes me feel like I'm going to fall over. And I just want to do something, even though it's awful getting through it. But another question is, do you still use red light devices? Do you microneedle? If not, why? Keep up your good work, thank you. I do still use the red light devices as often as I can. Again, when I've got a migraine, the last thing I want to do is shine light into my eyes, so I do it whenever I remember and when I don't have a migraine. And even the one, the current body one that you put on, that's not shining light into your eyes, but it's still, I do the bare minimum when I'm not feeling well. So it's not because they're not good, it's just because of how I'm feeling. I don't microneedle anymore. No, that was something that I believe in it, but I'm just too wimpy. I just couldn't. I had this electric machine that I used to use up here, and it like popped a vein, and it just wasn't good. It was too harsh, but I couldn't do it with the actual roller. I couldn't do it at a high enough number to have an effect. It just wasn't for me, and it is something I believe in. I wish I could, and I don't have the patience to sit and do it either, so no, I don't. The final question is, if you won millions on the lottery, what would you do? This is one of those questions that depends, again, on my migraines. I know, I'm sorry, it's so boring me constantly mentioning them, but firstly, I would spend a lot of that money having as many tests as possible to see if they're, or trying as many treatments as possible to see if anything else could help, because I could go to a private neurologist and get things much faster than I am just now, and probably get lots of complementary therapies. If I still have migraines, millions would make no difference to me, other than we would move house. If I didn't have migraines, my life would be very different anyway. There's lots of things I would like to do. I would actually like to either volunteer or work part-time with animals. That's something that I would love to do. So if I had won millions, I would open my own charity that would probably be like old dogs, look after old dogs in the last few years of their life. I would love to do that. So buy a massive house in the country and have them out there. That would be amazing. That's something that I would do for sure. So that's everything. I'm absolutely roasting in here. I didn't think it was quite as hot today, but I guess it's because I'm sitting under these lights. So you might see me more in the arbour, in the garden. I did think of it today, but I think because I was doing personal questions, I didn't really want to do it where I know that, neighbours could have their windows open and be listening. There's neighbours all around me that I know. I hope you enjoyed that. But if you do have any other questions, leave them on this video and I will save them up and do another video. Because one thing I thought is I didn't actually even mention it on here on YouTube, where most of you are. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave them below and I will do another video. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, let me tell you what I've got on makeup wise. I have got on the IT Cosmetics foundation. Have I? No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I'm going to start again with telling you what makeup I'm wearing. So the makeup I'm wearing today is, I have got on the Kat Von D True Portrait foundation in light 018. I've got on a BH Cosmetics eyeshadow palette called 90s Remix, something like that. The blush is by Vive and it's called Pesca, and the liquid lipstick is by Suva and it's called Awakening. So that's everything. Thank you so much for watching and I'll speak to you again soon.